Hey everyone, Dylan here from All You Can Board, here with Carlo, my cousin, and we are doing our 2024, that's the year, 2024 year in review, AOICB year in review. This is in lieu of us doing the traditional, at least for now. I'm sure you will one day do your tier list for 2024, but this is in lieu of either of us doing like right now at the end of the year, like here's our best games of 2024. Instead, if you've watched any of our gift guides we've done in the past, where we structure them with these really kind of like unique and different categories, where we pick games for them, it isn't necessarily like this is what we think is the best game in this category. It's what we're picking at the time. That's some of what you're going to see here. There's 12 different categories. I guess we have one flex category that we'll each have a different category. Yep. But we picked games that represent what we've been up to and what we've been playing in 2024. You haven't seen a lot of us on this channel because we haven't been doing a lot of videos this year. So this is going to be a way to sort of catch up with us in terms of some of the games we've been playing and what's been exciting us or that we have thoughts on, as well as just a more interesting way, we think, to kind of approach the year in review that doesn't just include the games that just came out in 2024. This can also include games that came out several years prior, but it's something that was actively being played by one of us or both of us this year. So like I said, 12 categories. Each one's gonna have a pick from each of us. There'll be one flex category. And if you like this format by the end, please let us know in the comments, because I think this is something we're both interested in. And I think Braden is as well, in terms of if we're going to be doing videos that might have in the past been lists or top 10s, that we might try to do more of this category feature instead, because it's just I think a more interesting way to discuss games, and it adds us, I think that's really what it is. It's just more interesting and adds more flexibility in terms of the games we're talking about.
Yeah, and highlights what sort of niche a particular game might fit into, rather than like ordering them in a ranking that might change in a couple weeks anyway, right?
Exactly. So let's just jump right into this. And the very first category.
And just so you know, I think we sort of know maybe one of each other's picks, but the rest are all in secret so far. So there might be some overlap, but who knows?
Yes. Okay, so the first category, the game that hit our table most often this year. And this is in physical board game. And you can go first. Game.
Okay, so I don't track my plays, so I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure this is the one that hit the table most often. Probably about 10 plays by now, 10 to 12 plays. And that is a game called Court of the Medici. This is a 2-player only, quite old, obscure, hidden gem card game that I have to credit my friend Todd, who I was walking around the building at work one day, didn't even know he worked with me, and he went, "Wait, All You Can Board?" And we kind of like, "Oh, wait, what? I've seen you comment on our videos," kind of thing. And now we play games over lunch hour once or twice a week. So shout out to you, Todd. And he's been hitting me with all these hidden gems, so I won't get too into it, but there's sort of, everyone has or each player has a deck of cards, and they have the same values of numbers on them. Most of the cards don't have an actual ability, but there's 2 or 3 cards that have an ability, and you have these cards that go into this little court in front of you, and you're basically taking turns either playing a card or putting a card from your hand under the bottom of your deck. And basically you're trying to keep certain strength in the court, and it's sort of mathy about like you can add cards to piles to like have conspiracies. You can try to knock other players' cards out of the court. There's like an inner court where you're both playing cards and an outer court, and at the end of the game, whoever has the highest remaining value in total in play wins the game. And once you draw the last card from your deck, or the second last, the bottom card flips over. Now you can only play cards that are of a lower value. So it's a hand management kind of tug of war style game that has felt deeper and deeper and more complex and interesting and more levels of nuance with each play. I really like it. It's something that most people would look at and go, that's kind of bland, or the strategy isn't obvious at first, but if you dig into it, it's really rewarding. And I'll try to cover it on the channel in the future and hopefully play it with you and Braden.
Yeah, it sounds cool.
Again, 2-player max, but very cool game.
Yeah, I honestly, you might have mentioned this to me before, but I hadn't heard of it, and this is a surprise for me for some reason. I guess spoiler, mine's not a surprise, and yours I was expecting it to be something I'm like, oh yeah, of course, but like I didn't expect that. That's great.
There's probably one game that I played more, but it's coming up in another category, so we'll touch on it later. But yeah, Court of the Medici.
All right, so mine is not a surprise because I think this has probably been my most physical played game the last like 3 years, like just based on how many people I'm introducing it to and stuff, and that's Patchwork. Oh, yeah. Patchwork is the game that I still play the most because it's easily the one that I kind of default to if I'm introducing a new game to someone who doesn't often play board games. When I was like now especially, another reason this is my most played game this year is because this is a game that I have a new partner that I'm currently seeing and have been for 3 months, and this has now become a competitive game that the two of us play. She already owned Patchwork and sort of had a bit of a competitive thing going with a friend of hers, and so now this is a game that even in the last like 2 months, I've played 4 or 5 times alone just based on us competing in the physical versions. So yeah, it's an easy go-to game. I'm not going to go into details because I've spoken so much on this channel about Patchwork, but as a simple polyomino game, it has so much depth, surprisingly, to the strategy, and every game feels at least a little bit different based on how the tiles are positioned around the board and how you're choosing and how you're buying them, and kind of like even the scores. Like I still have games where neither person is in the positives, like both people are in the negatives, just based on
so
how
cutthroat.
Yeah, like
for a quilting game.
And that's the thing, is it starts off as a great introductory game because of the theme and stuff, but very quickly, once both players wrap their head around the rules and the strategy, it just becomes a cutthroat game, and that changes the entire balance of how you play. So yeah, Patchwork is my most played physical game, and this is now going to be a thing where every year I'm going to be almost curious to see if it gets dethroned by another game, because it's going to be hard. I just constantly come back to Patchwork. It's not like it's the best game I played this year or any of the previous years, but it's just reliable. It's the old reliable.
It's so solid. It comes up all the time. It's so solid, so reliable, good for casual players, good for experience. Yeah.
Exactly. Next category is very similar. The game that hit our screens the most, and this is not video games hitting the screen. This is on digital plays of board games, because we do play board games on Board Game Arena a lot based on our availability to get together, because you can play asynchronous on there. It's just something that we do a lot of, and sometimes we play games more in that digital space than we do in the physical space. So this is which one we play digital the most.
Yeah, and this could be tabletop simulator, an app on your phone, whatever. So it's just screens in general. I'm going to say real quick that if I were talking about total time spent playing, it would probably be either Agricola or Challengers, because I've played those so much on BGA. But in terms
I thought it was going to be Challengers for sure.
No, there's one game I played more total times, but it's a game that's so quick, it's Can't Stop.
Oh, of course.
And the reason why I played Can't Stop, I think like 151 times, or like it's over 150 times on Board Game Arena just this year, is because I started trying out arena mode. And part of this is because, I won't get into it, there's a video I'm gonna do later this year or next year. I don't know, it's a big project about the topic of luck in board games and stuff. But I went into arena mode to see how good are the best players in the world that Can't Stop, and how much can I improve if I'm playing against the best players. Yeah. And at first I was on a roll, climbing the ranks, this, I don't play many of these dice games. And then I hit a wall where I just started getting beaten almost every time, and I'm like, anyone who says this game is luck-based, I'll just say right now, that's not a matter of opinion. You're just wrong, because go play against the best players in the world, and you will see that you can't get past a certain point on that ranking ladder. I got up to the elite ranking, which is like the highest, but even in elite is like, I think the top 1,000 players, and I think I never got above like the top 400 or 500 or something, and I just couldn't crack into there. Sometimes I had 12 asynchronous games at once. I'd open my phone, take my turn on 12 games that Can't Stop. I did this for months, and I couldn't crack it. So it's such a replayable game, especially on Board Game Arena.
And it's so quick,
quick on Board Game Arena. All the math is just click a button, see where you go. But
cool, good pick.
Yeah, good feedback on randomness in there.
Yeah, that would have been like my guess. If you were like, guess what do you think my game is? That would be my default, is because I think it often is like your most played game on there.
Yeah,
and for a while it was mine too, on different periods or months or whatever, because how many you can churn through, right?
Exactly. But yeah, Challengers was not that far off as a second place, which, yeah.
Mine is probably not a surprise either, but I don't know if this will probably be the last year, if we were going to do these every year. This is probably the last year that this is going to be on there, and that's Lost Cities.
Oh, okay. I thought it was either going to be that or Castles of Burgundy.
But mine's a similar thing, because it's because I just had a period of time this year where I got back into the arena mode, not as much as I used to be on Board Game Arena with Lost Cities, but I played it so much in there, and that just accumulated so many games for me. So I think that I've my days of really digging into Lost Cities digitally on Board Game Arena, and probably even physically, are behind me. Like it's a game I'm always going to love, and I'm always going to be totally happy to come back to. But I don't think I'm necessarily going to have it. It's probably one of those games that, in terms of my favorite games, it's going to fall down my top 50 slowly but surely over time, probably because of my lack of plays. And digitally, I just don't think there's anything left for me to see by continuing to play it.
Which isn't a slight, because this is probably one of your most played games. Right? It's over 300 plays with physical
easily.
and digital? Okay,
yeah,
so
easily.
that shows the lasting power of Lost Cities.
Yeah, great game.
Yep.
Next category. This is also going to be a dual category back-to-back kind of thing, but this one is the game that we enjoyed more than our play group.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I feel pretty confident.
You're ready for this.
I feel pretty confident about this one.
Yeah.
We only played it once or maybe twice actually on Board Game Arena. This is Kalis.
Okay.
So this is the game that basically inspired Uwe Rosenberg's biggest influence for designing Agricola. It is by many considered the second worker placement game of all time after Bus. But it's an extremely mean, old school worker placement game where you're trying to get stuff done and your opponents are constantly getting in the way. I won't get too into it, but the hook of this game is that there are a bunch of action spaces on a board, and they start out from this castle and they go down this road. And at the start of the game, you have only maybe the first like quarter or third of the road that is developed, and you keep building buildings and putting them on these spots and extending the road. And throughout the round, you place your workers, but nothing activates until everyone has passed and is out of the round. And then we start from the castle and we activate one spot at a time based on whose worker is there. But the hook is that there's this other token called the provost that all the players have control over, moving the provost further one way or the other down the road. There's an action I think that you can use for it, and you can also pay money. And whenever you do the action resolution phase where you go down the road, as soon as we get to the provost, we stop and you don't trigger anything else further down the road. So if I had 3 workers on actions ahead of the provost and Dylan spent a bunch of money to move the provost back, I wasted not only those actions, but potentially money and other resources to get my workers there, and now they're not even going to trigger. It is brutal, and I loved it, and I have Caylus 1303, the kind of modernized 2017 or 2019 kind of reimagining, re-edition, whatever, where they've streamlined the rules, so I'm super excited to play that, but I got the impression from both of you guys that, like, I think I suggested a rematch, and you guys were like, maybe I'll play it in person one day, and I was like, this game's too good. I really want to play it again.
Yeah, I think the biggest hurdle for games like that, and it's something I'm still trying to really wrap my head around exactly what it is that I don't like about it, but meanness in games is a volatile thing for me. I generally would say I am not a fan of meanness in games for the reasons that I play board games, but I can also name probably like 4 or 5 games that are kind of cutthroat, even a game like Patchwork and stuff like that.
Arboretum.
Yeah, exactly, that I do love. So I think it has something to do with the complexity tied in with the length, how early you can feel like because of the meanness, you're either ruining someone else's play experience that's gonna last like another 2 hours or my own. There's a few things in there because, and I also, some of the meanest long games or complex games, I haven't played enough to see if that changes over time as I get better at the strategy. I will say I do want to play the one you have that's the like sort of updated reimagined. Yeah. I want to play the physical version, but having played the original on BGA, I definitely left being like, I do not want to play that again.
Right, but you could at least admire some of the, or appreciate the design.
Cool mechanics in it for sure, and some that I even like in other games and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely, it's a good pick for you.
May I speculate real quick?
Yeah.
I think it might be that if you feel like you don't fully understand the rules, which is, again, totally understandable because I didn't even understand them the first time playing either. Yeah. It's when you don't understand the rules or fully understand the game and it's really mean. It's kind of hard to feel like you're getting destroyed without feeling like you have maybe a fair shot, or like you're like, well, I didn't even understand why I got destroyed, kind of, or like, not destroyed, not saying, I don't even remember who won or what scores were, but.
No, I think you're right, but I think it's also just like, let's say it's a 2.5 hour game, right? Or even a 2 hour game. Sometimes the biggest hurdle for me with those games in general is like, how many plays am I going to have to be able to like find a way to muster a group together to play to get to a point, like even like Root. Root was in the exception where I finally was able to play Root enough that like I know well enough that every time I play I have a blast, but it's like, I can't play with new people now. Like, if a game's mean and also requires that much of an investment, it's a really hard barrier for me to get over. And it's impossible, but I would have to have like a period of time where we are getting together regularly enough to play long games that I can like really start to better grasp the strategy, get around the meanness factor. Like, it would just take some things that I just in my life I end up being like, I'd rather just play something else, right? But yeah,
it's
good
hard
pick.
to invest time into something uncertain.
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead.
All right, so my pick is Age of Innovation, a Terra Mystica game, which I gotta say my least favorite thing in the board game hobby these days is that you just put a colon at the end and say a blank game because you're trying, I get it, you're trying to like capitalize on the popularity of a popular game, and so you think adding it in there, I get it, but I am never gonna say the after the colon thing. I know you might. I'm never gonna say the after the colon thing. It's just gonna be Age of Innovation to me.
I think it's funny, not because I think it's important. But.
I know. Age of Innovation. So Terra Mystica is something that we collectively have, or really late to the party on. We've started to play that ecosystem of games in the last few years here with like Terra Nova, Terra Mystica, Age of Innovation stuff. Age of Innovation, I own the physical copy of. We've played it a couple times. I think I've played it once more than you have, the physical version. And I love it. So I love Terra Mystica. I love Age of Innovation. I don't know which one I'm going to ultimately love more. That's something I'm going to have to uncover by playing Age of Innovation, where I played Terra Mystica like over 10 times. I played Age of Innovation 3 or 4 times. But I left every session I've played being like, love it, want to play it again. I know it's very long. I know it might even be too long, but I want to set it up. I could play it again. I got the impression, and I think you kind of confirmed it before we started filming and stuff, that it's one that I'm not saying you dislike it. I'd be curious kind of like what your thoughts are even compared to the original, but you definitely like it less than I do.
Yeah. Well, like when we did our top 50 games, I think you had it somewhere in the 10 to 15 range or something like that, and it didn't crack my... Oh, sorry, I hadn't played it at that time, I don't think, maybe. Yeah. But I'm just not... it's so hard to know. I've played it once on BGA, once in person. I don't know what to think of it. I at least like it. Yeah. I just don't know if... Kind of what you mentioned with Kalis, for the amount of time it takes and the setup and all that, and the like, I feel like I'm still in just barely scratch the surface mode. I don't know if it's something I'm going to want to invest a bunch of time in to see how much I like it, or if I just like, I'll play it once in a while, or like maybe it's not ultimately for me, but yeah. You definitely liked it more than me on the first. Yeah, it's hard for me to play a game that goes that long where I feel like we're mostly very quiet and mostly looking down at the table rather than at each other. Like there's very little eye contact or socializing for a 3+ hour game, and that's the barrier for me, I think.
And to be fair, like, I agree with everything you're saying, and I do think ultimately it's too long of a game. Almost that like it went the wrong direction from Terra Mystica, where I would have rather it been slimmed down, but it bulked up. Yeah. I like the things that it bulked up with. I like them all individually. As a package, I haven't decided yet whether or not ultimately, like once I play Age of Innovation 10 times as well, whether I'm going to be like, okay, which one would I suggest going forward? Because I'm not going to suggest both. I'm not going to continually be like, let's play both these games. But I just, so far out of all the plays, I've left each one saying, love the game. So that's the difference.
I'm not surprised because it has some similarities, not in the actual mechanics, but like the feel of the game is a little bit like a Feast for Odin in that sense, where it's like you got your own puzzle on your board you're figuring out, there's kind of a shared thing, but it's not like super interactive, but you can't deny that it's interactive. It's kind of sandboxy, lots of variability, right? Yeah. So it makes sense why it hits so hard for you.
All right, and on the flip side of that, next category is the game we enjoyed less than our play group, and I'm gonna let you kick it off as well.
This is more of a first impression because I only played this, I believe, once and only on Board Game Arena, but it is Altered. So this is the new CCG or TCG? TCG? Trading card game? No.
Yes. Yeah, you know what?
Yeah, whatever.
One of them.
So it's the same as, I think Regis Bonasset, same designers like Seasons and Lords of Zidit and some other games. So interesting game. We only played it the once, and there were things I liked a lot about it. The way that you can, and you might have to jump in and correct me because you've played it more than me and probably remember the rules better. The aspect of how you get more like mana crystals or whatever by like you can discard a card permanently to add more mana or something, or where you can just choose to keep the card to have a bigger hand size and more options. That's cool. Some of the ways the cards worked was cool. The main thing that made me go, I don't really know if I like that, is just like the kind of win condition or the board thing where you're like, you have your figures on the opposite sides of the map and they're trying to run towards each other and meet, and the first player whose figures meet wins. That I just, and it's not that I don't like it, I didn't really love that in my first play, and I kind of, that part left me feeling a bit like, I don't know, and I know that you liked it a lot. We ordered a bunch of stuff for it for Kickstarter, GameFound, wherever it was, and I know that you, I think, want to cover it on the channel at some point, but I don't know.
I would, so I do like, definitely like Altered more than you so far. I know you've only played it once. The one thing I would say is I don't think it'll ever be that we reach parity. I could be wrong and surprised, like where you like it as much as me. But I will say that I think multiple plays, even if I don't think it'll lessen your opinion of it. I think it's only going to move your opinion a little bit more, because I think that meeting thing was the game that we played felt very different than when me and Braden played. Because when me and Braden played, we reached there at the same point, and the tiebreaker is like the game keeps going, but under more interesting, like more like tension building circumstances. And so that to me is really interesting. I think the better you are at the game, like the more that would happen. And on top of that, we were playing at a time when we didn't, like we were playing with pre-made decks and everything. The fact that now we can build our own decks, and you can go in being like, I've crafted my deck with the cards that we have access to like influence it this way, and with different I can't remember if they're called heroes or what it was, but like the main card with your abilities could be different as well. I feel like that's going to be one that you won't ever like love you won't ever like as much as you do Keyforge, I don't think.
No.
But I think that you will like it more than you currently do when you see a little bit more of it. But I like it so much more than you that I think mine will probably come down to a little bit more realistic thing. So I think we'll get closer, but I think it's going to take us building some decks and playing some more in person to really like understand whether this is a game we like, where we fall on the scale.
That's totally fair, because the deck building is a huge part of the game, and the fact that we haven't done that and haven't played it in physical form, like I definitely want to do that. But yeah, just that first impression was like,
Yeah, totally, that's fair. And mine is a game that I don't
know what's coming. You said before that I don't, but I think I do.
Okay, so I'm gonna say the game, but then let me explain first. Okay, so the game is Nar. Okay, so Nar is a game that I've played, I think like 6 times, 5 times, like something like that, all in BGA. I haven't played the physical version yet. And I remember after the first play thinking like, oh man, cool game, excited to play it again. And by the time I played it like the second or third time, I was like, I don't want to play this anymore. And I don't know what it is, but the closest comparison I can think of is Nidavellir.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
There's something, and it's weird because they have a similar theme, but it's not the theme. I like that theme.
Is it the art?
No, I just like something about the gameplay I just found less engaging the more I played it. And I could tell that, I'm not saying you love it or Braden loves it. I'm just saying that I could tell you guys were getting more out of it than I was, whereas like some of my last turns asynchronously and some of even when we play it live and stuff, I was more just sort of going through the motions because I'd gotten beyond the point of caring about that session because I realized I didn't like the game. So I don't know exactly what it is. I think the race element to win was and probably still is my favorite part about it, but I found that to be almost more of an annoying thing by the end, where it felt like it was hindering me from having fun with like building up a good strategy. Because sometimes, I guess what it was is sometimes I'd be building up like a certain choice of cards that I'm getting, and I'd be like, oh, this is cool, like I haven't done this before. But then I'm falling so far behind that it's like, in order to try to win, I have to stop having fun with the game almost. Like I have to change my strategy in a way, and I've done that in games before and it's been fine. Something about it in Nar rubbed me the wrong way. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
This is a huge. I almost picked this for like a different category, but I thought you liked it more. I do. When you said I love this game, in my opinion, like I'm going to talk about this game more on the channel some other day, but it falls in that Nidavellir, Splendor type of quick engine building kind of game. Furnace, sort of similar to that as well. And this is definitely my favorite of all those games so far.
Oh wow, okay.
Because of the fact that you break your engine apart to kind of like get those little turbo boosts over the finish line at the end.
I hate breaking engines apart. That's something.
But it's such a tough
it,
decision. It's the later in the game you go. You're like, I'm at 22 points and I got to cross whatever it is to get that thing. Maybe it's the time to break this to get that card that's going to give me that boot. It's like little mini combos at the cost of a sacrifice.
I don't know why, but that's always been a hard sell for me in games. Whenever it's in like almost like, I don't know if you call it like a temporary engine builder, but like that's something that I don't like building something up and then having to deconstruct it in order to do something else. Sometimes I do, but if I'm enjoying that first engine I build and having fun with it, I hate having, suddenly as soon as I have to deconstruct it, it makes me have less fun with that session at least. Right. And so that I think it takes a very specific type of game for me to enjoy that mechanic is what I guess I'm saying.
So 2 games that come to mind that we didn't talk about real quick. Yeah. Corrosion was one that neither of us were crazy about, but I know you disliked it more for that reason, whereas I thought that was the cool part of the game. Yeah. And then I'm also going to bring Furnace back up because when we did our, we were done covering it on the channel, you decided to keep it.
Yeah.
And so do you like Furnace more than Nar, even though it has the engine braking thing as well?
I would say I do like Furnace more than Nar, but I'm not in love with Furnace. I think part of me keeping that game is that there was something about it that made me want to play it at least a couple more times before
the bidding thing with the tokens?
Yes, the bidding part is something that if it didn't have the bidding thing, I suddenly wouldn't like that game.
Okay.
Yeah,
fair enough. All right, we'll talk a lot more about Nar for sure.
Okay, I thought that one was going to surprise you a little bit.
I'm taken aback.
Devastated.
We should play the physical copy though and see if it changes your mind.
Yes,
because I have it.
Yeah, I would play it again for sure.
Cool.
All right, next category is the game we had the most fun playing solo this year. Now this, I'm going to preface this by saying this is going to be a category that you resonate more than I do, because all told, I think I've only played like 3 or 4 board games solo this year. You being a dad and having like more time at home, you're looking for things to sort of like decompress and all that kind of stuff, and having games set up on your table long term. You play way more than I have, so I'm kicking it off to you and just saying that to like take more stock in Carlo's opinion for these solo games right now. I have less experience with them.
Right.
Yeah.
So before I mention the game, this might have actually been my most played game when I said Court of the Medici. I don't know, but this is a scenario-based sort of campaign game, and the fact that I was putting in the solo category, I decided to save it for here. But this is Dorf Romantic, the board game. So I played through the entire campaign. I don't remember how many games it took me to unlock everything or whatever. And I'm not going to get too into it because I am going to do like definitely a feature video where I just reviewing this game. But it kind of plays off of the PC game for Steam, for anyone who's familiar, which is basically a sort of tile laying game where you are trying to beat your high score and keep adding tiles to different things, building out. It's sort of Carcassonne-esque with like 6-sided hexagonal tiles rather than just squares. And you're building out and building out and building out, and when you complete little objectives, like it'll say create a little forest that's this many tiles, or if you have a flag in that area, if you seal it off on all sides, it's going to double your points. There's all kinds of little nuggets, little things that you're working towards, building this sprawling city, and the better you do, the more tiles you get, so the bigger the game gets. And so you unlock new tiles, there's boxes you open up, take new stuff out. And this game basically just like lived on my table for like probably 3 months, where sometimes I didn't play it for a week or two, and then sometimes I'd play it 3 times in one night. I didn't love every single session, but it won me over by the end, and I just thought it was extremely well done. And the most overall, like I played quite a few other solo games, but this is definitely the one that made the biggest impression on me this year.
Yeah, great pick. When you're like not done with it, but when you're like, hey, I'm not going to play this for a couple months, that's when I'd like to borrow and do the same thing with. I played the digital version, which came before the board game version, and really, really enjoyed my play with that. So I'm sure I'll like it. But yeah, great pick.
Yeah, I think you will. And it's not a solo only, but I don't know if I really want to, like I would try it cooperatively with 2 players maybe, but I don't think I want to play it with 3 or 4.
Yeah, fair. My pick is Gloomhaven Buttons and Bugs. Nice. I think that's the name of it, right? Yeah. Yep. This is a game.
It used to be Gloomholden.
Right,
initially.
That's right. Carlo got me this game. I've played, I think, it's either 2 or 3 of the scenarios. I can't remember now. And the reason this is my pick, I mean, outside the fact that I haven't played a ton, is I obviously love Gloomhaven. It used to be my #1 game of all time. And for a game that comes in this small box right here, like this is the Gloomhaven Buttons and Bugs box, it finds a way of encapsulating the Gloomhaven experience as best you could in a game that size. So in terms of like setup time, in terms of like scratching that Gloomhaven itch when I maybe can't get a group together for it, I had a ton of fun with it, and it really does feel like you're playing Gloomhaven just on a really condensed thing without all the map boards and everything. Like it's right there, it's on cards and stuff. So yeah, I won't say much more. If you like Gloomhaven, and you like, especially if you're already playing Gloomhaven like solo, or if you're playing the digital version of Gloomhaven, but it doesn't feel the same because you really want that like, you're looking to play a board game and you don't have to go into the digital space, highly recommend it. It does really feel like you're playing Gloomhaven in a really condensed experience, but without sacrificing too much. Like it doesn't feel like it's like a lesser version just for the sake of fitting it into that box or whatever.
This is so rewarding to you. When you buy someone a gift and you never know, and I never want there to be just good, and you know this, there's never any pressure to like have to play the game or enjoy the game or whatever. Yeah. But it is really rewarding when you get a game and you hear someone talk like that about it. So.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what my intentions were, is like get that experience of Gloomhaven, very small package.
Yeah, tons of fun.
Nice. And take it with you when you travel, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna be playing this on the tray table in the airplane on my work trip. So I'm gonna have to try this at least once, and then we'll hit turbulence and it'll all go flying. I'll be like, Carlo, I lost my copy.
Nice.
All right, the game that made our eyes pop. Now you can take that in many different ways, and really what it comes down to is when you think about either table presence, artwork, or just like the beauty of the game on the table, however you want to, we want to approach that, the game that made our eyes pop in terms of the way it looks.
Okay, this is a game that, depending on which order these videos come up or whatever, I have to say Raising Robots is the standout for me. And it's not the whole game. The components, the boards are nice, whatever, but the robot cards are like just out of control. This is the type of thing where if I could find pieces of these that were like blown up pieces of art, we've talked about this before. Some of my friends used to call me like a robot is my resting face. Like sometimes that it takes a lot to get me to sometimes to smile. When I'm talking games with you, obviously. but even just the way my brain works and stuff, my son, who's 3 years old, loves robots, and so he has like a robot rug in his room. Maybe I'll get some of these blown up and put on like framed, but the 150 plus cards of like individual robots made of like parts of like a toaster and a vacuum hose and like garden shears and random things that have a name that is often a pop culture reference, and like I can't think of any other game where we were showing cards from our hands and being like, look at this card, and after playing, look at this card, oh man, look at this one, look at this one. All these pop culture references, just pure eye candy, and just the standout visual game for me of new games I played in the past year.
Yeah, that's an awesome pick. That's thoughts on the game aside and stuff, it's hard to debate the fact that it's a beautiful game on the table. Mine is less about the artwork. I went the direction in terms of like, my pick is Lacuna. Okay, so my pick is Lacuna, and it's not artwork, because I wouldn't say that the artwork is the thing I take away from Lacuna, but I would say that when you're in the middle of a session and you have all the pieces all over the board and you start adding the silver and gold pieces in, it's a game that when we played at a game at Toba, our local convention last year, we had strangers coming up and saying, what game are you playing there? Because of the way it looked. Everyone I've introduced this to, especially people who don't play board games, as soon as you start rolling out that mat and as soon as you start adding pieces and stuff to the board, they start to get really intrigued and like, wait, what are we playing? So eyes pop, it's the game that has made me realize that I can get people into board games or help them understand that board games are not just like Monopoly and Scrabble and Catan, because as soon as they see that, they're like, I've never seen anything else like this, right? And whether there are other games like that, it's something that a lot of people, it's very like novel to them when they see it. And so it made my eyes pop the first time, and then it made other people's eyes pop. So
I love that there's no text, no iconography, no abilities. Like if you walked up, you could watch people play, like if language independent, if you didn't speak language, if you watched someone play for long enough, you could figure out the rules just from observing the game a couple times.
Yep, agreed.
And it's just beautiful, simple, very unique. Awesome pick.
Yeah. Next one is the game that left us feeling conflicted. And just to elaborate, though, what that means is we left the session and we either don't know whether we like it or don't like it. We don't know like exactly how to describe our thoughts. There's something about it that we need to like explore more to be able to properly encapsulate how we feel.
It's a game that Dylann already spoke about, and that is Age of Innovation, a Terra Mystica game. So I could have picked Terra Mystica for this, but I've played that one more and feel a little more confident how I feel. The reason I picked Age of Innovation is that, first off, I don't know if I like it more than Terra Mystica or less, and that's going to take more plays to determine. And I could also see this maybe being like a top 20, top 50 game, maybe not top 20, but like I could see it being a top 50 game all the time for me, or I could see it being that I play it 4 or 5 times and I never want to play it again, but maybe I want to dive deep into Terra Mystica, or maybe after I play both of them, I figure they're not games that I want to play anymore. Like, I'm so conflicted, and even just playing Terra Mystica, the first time I played it, I was like, I don't really know. And then after 2 or 3 plays, I was like, man, Terra Mystica is damn good. Like I see the similarities to like Agricola in some ways. And then I cooled on it a little bit, and then it's just like, I won't get into the details because we've spoken about it enough, but I'm gonna play it more and see where I land on it. I definitely respect it, and I understand the reasons why they went in the direction they did with it. I just don't know if it's a game that is for me really long term.
It's a great pick. I was going into this not being like, I wonder what Carlo is going to pick for this, but that's a great pick.
Yeah, I had some others, but that seemed like the most conflicting one for me for sure.
Yeah, I think you know what mine is. Mine is a GNC. Yeah. I'm gonna do a comparison here, and it's not to the games. There's a reason I'm bringing this up. So we talked about a game, and I can't remember if we fully reviewed it or what on the channel a while ago, called Rocket Men. And when we played,
it in Own It, Play It, or Skip It. We did cover it. Yeah.
So when we played that game, I remember that would have been like, if I had played that this year, this would have been my conflicted game, because I was so conflicted when we played it. I left that session and we played it multiple times thinking, I don't think I like it, but I want to play it again, and I can't explain why. GNC is almost a flip. I don't know why. I don't know if I like it, but I think I do, but I need to play it again. Like it's almost like Rockman, I was sure I didn't like it. This, I think I'm sure I kind of will like it. I just don't know how much, and it's possible I might end up not liking it. There's so much going on in a GNC, and especially when you have 5 different decks that all of asymmetrical decks that each play differently, and each will take time and multiple plays to fully understand. I need to understand if I fully like the game and want to have it be like a game we come back to and play often. I need to understand if that's the case. Is it every faction I like? Are there some factions that I'm like, I like it, but only if I don't play that one? Like playing against, there's so many things that I need to figure out that it's probably a game that I'm not going to know my thoughts on fully until I've played it like a dozen times. And so the confliction comes from the fact that like, I don't know if I like it, but I also don't know like if it's like how much it's worth for me to invest into yet either, because there's just so much to see and there's so much you can do on your turn. And even when you play one of the factions, a lot of cards you might be tossing out, it's because you multi-use cards, you're spending some of those cards to play other cards. You might spend a card 3 games in a row and never actually play it for its ability. Yeah. And then after that, on that 4th game, play it for its ability and be like, oh, wait a second, you can use this card this way. And that changes the way you would have approached the first 3 games with that card, right? So,
or the synergy with other cards. Whoa, I didn't think that combo was possible, right?
Yeah, so another reason I'm really excited to dig into this more is just because of the fact that I was late to the party on innovation and missed out on the opportunity to really kind of like come up with it like you and Braden did. And this is like my opportunity to do that here. So I'm excited on that aspect. I just haven't decided yet if it's going to be something where I'm like, I actually do want to keep digging in, right? So yeah.
I'm a little bit conflicted too, but I think I'm a little more convinced that I like it. So I didn't pick it for this, but and isn't it amazing that a game can make you want to play it that many times and explore when it was like a $30 game or something?
I know.
Like,
it goes to show it's never, you don't have to go and invest like $100 in the biggest box game that like, even like Age of Innovation, you don't have to invest that much money in this 3-hour big game till it feels like you got your money's worth. Sometimes like the $20 box of The Crew is more worth it because you can easily get like 50 sessions out of that and you paid $20 for it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Next category, the game we played for the first time and loved. This doesn't have to have come out in 2024. We just have to have played it for the first time in 2024. Even though I can't remember exactly if I played mine for the first time in 2024, but if I didn't, it was like the very, very, very end of 2023. And yeah, we have to have loved it. It doesn't have to, like, it couldn't change over time, but as of right now, we played it for the first time this year and we loved it.
Okay, so I'll say real quick, there's 2 games that I considered, and one of them that I probably like more than this is going to come up later in the video for a different reason, but this is here because of how much it exceeded my expectations and how much we laughed and how much I went, oh my God, I probably need to own this game in the future and play it, and I didn't really expect that to be the case, and that's Monikers. We played it here for your birthday, I think, up on your rooftop patio. Some people here I'd never met before, some people I've known since I was a kid, some people I've known for a few years. It was a wide crew of people, 1 or 2 of the people there only knew 1 or 2 of the other people there, and it was a group of what, like 8 or 10 of us?
Yeah.
What a hilarious game, just a riot of a time, similar to Time's Up too, which I haven't played Time's Up, and I don't know, I might end up preferring Time's Up because the more reined in categories, I guess. Monikers is kind of more wacky and all over the place.
And I own Time's Up now.
Yes, and for people who don't know these, I think it's also like a game called like Celebrity. This game has a bunch of names. It goes way back. There's just different versions, but it's kind of like, sort of charades, sort of giving clues, goes to different, I'm not going to get into it too much, but a team-based game and the kind of like inside jokes and the references that go from round to round, and then potentially, like I imagine if we were to play it a 2nd, 3rd time, 5th time, 10th time, there's probably references to past times you played it, and you're kind of the telepathy with people when someone looks at you and gives you a certain clue and you say it and someone goes, yes, oh my God, yes. Like, and there's rounds where you do really well, there are rounds where you do poorly, and it was such a fun game, and I always thought like, I kind of want to try it, but I did not see that coming.
Yeah, this is actually a really good pick, and I will say that this is my plan B default fallback pick if it turns out that like I'm really off the mark here and when I played my pick for the first time. But yeah, I had so much fun playing this, and I played Monikers only once this year, but I played one of the other versions of it. We played it when we actually at a work retreat, we actually made our own categories, and that was just as fun and like in a different way. So great pick. This will be my fallback pick because my pick, which is I definitely played physically 100% for the first time this year, and I definitely played the most digitally this year. I can't remember when the first play happened. Is Forest Shuffle. Forest Shuffle is a game that I started off thinking, yeah, it's all right, and that actually like continued for multiple plays. I would say it's really recently. It almost feels like I uncovered the game for the first time in the last like 3 months, because it was one of the.
I love this already, Dylan.
It was. It was. I'm winning you back after NAR.
Oh, you really are.
Yeah, like it's a game where I wish I hadn't played it so much asynchronous first, because it was hard to come back to turns and understand the strategy and the way I was approaching it, and what I would try to remember what I did on the last turn, try to look up what my opponents did. The one time we played it, the physical version, which was really recently, was like, that made me realize like, oh my God, I wish I played it like this first, because I was just more in tune with what you were doing, and like, it just felt more impactful, everything that was going on, playing it live. But having played it in person that time, and some of my most recent plays of the digital version, once you wrap your head around like all the different strategies that you can possibly approach with all the cards that are coming out, and whether they go on the bottom, they're kind of like a GNC, like whether they go on the top, the bottom, the left, or the right.
They are multi-use cards. They can be discarded to pay for cost for other cards, or you have multi-use.
Lots of similarities, Like it really just clicked for me. So I would say that if you're someone who's played it and it like me, it either was just like didn't resonate, or you thought like, oh, like it's okay. Like I don't know what the big deal is. There was a click moment. I don't know when it happened, but in one of my games, I finally had a strategy work. And when we played physically, I finally like grasped like not trying to do too many things all at once, like leaning into stuff, especially if I knew that was open because you weren't going for it and stuff like that. That changed my perspective on the game. And I'm not someone who gets into strategy a lot with games. Like, it's certain games that will make me want to like dig in and focus more on like what I'm doing strategically, and that will actually impact the fun I'm having. And it takes me either playing the game enough times or something clicking with it. And I feel like it was kind of both for Four Shuffle. So once that clicked, I love it. I'm actually having fun with the strategy. And when we play, like I think I lost when we played, but we both had like really good games. And so it felt like we both had like a complete Four Shuffle experience. You play with one of the expansions.
And because we didn't play on BGA, there's no live scoring, so it's not like you're like, well, I'm 80 points behind, do I have time to make this up? Like I honestly thought you were going to win until we counted scores.
Yeah, which is a way better way to play.
I agree.
So yeah, Four Shuffle's mine. I love it. I don't know whether that'll go up, go down as I play, but as of this moment, love it. It just took me a while to get there.
I'm so pleased to hear this because I think it's a game that it keeps growing on me too, and I think it's one of those ones that has clearly resonated with a large section of the hobby because it's already probably in the top like 300 on Board Game Geek or something. But I think a lot of people are going to be hesitant to give this a shot because people are going to be like, oh, another animal game, another nature game. There's a lot of people who are burnt out on that and are just going to think it's basic or like a family game, and they're going to pass. And I think it's a real shame because with any other theme that would appeal more to like heavier experienced gamers, I think a lot of more people who'd give this a chance would see there's an incredible amount of depth that is not apparent on the first play, 3-5 plays even. Like it's such a rewarding game to dig into.
Yeah, and the expansions are great. And honestly, like it's one of those ones where with the expansions, because it's flexible how you add them, which ones you add, like I love it enough that I'm almost feeling like I would rather want them to just keep introducing more expansions so I have more variability,
more
right?
Cards.
Yeah, exactly. More cards.
And this is so encouraging too because I have a little bit more hope that you might be won over on Race for the Galaxy one day. It might take 5 or 10 years, but like one day I think you will be now.
It's a long road to get there.
Oh, such a long road. But in the meantime, we'll just play Four Shuffle, and that's fine. That's okay with me.
This one, switching it up a little bit, is the game mechanic that we're still thinking about. So this is just from a game we played this year, a mechanic from that game that's stuck in our mind, whether it be, there's lots of flexibility in what we pick here. It's just something that we are thinking about still in some way or another.
Shout out to the Provost from Kalis because I almost picked that, but I'm going to not pick that, and instead I'm going to go with the scoring system from Faraway.
Oh,
which is a little card game, a little tableau building game that we've discovered that I think it got onto Board Game Arena before it even hit a physical release in North America. But for those who don't know, you are basically, there's a deck of these unique cards. I think in the base game there's 68 or 70 cards. Every card will have a number and a potential point value. Some cards you have to meet a requirement by having certain icons on other cards to unlock that point value. Some of them are just you score 4 points, you have this icon. Other ones are you get 3 points per icon of this type. It's all kinds of different stuff. But the hook of this, and you always have 3 of these cards in your hand, and every round you're starting by kind of like drafting from a pile, and you get to like put one into play and then refill your hand to 3, and you just play 8 rounds of this with the other players. The hook of this game and what it would still be a good game without this, but this is what makes it and what makes you keep coming back and thinking about the game and making me go, this is brilliant. Yeah. You lay your cards down left to right and they're all face up, but then when it comes time to score the game, you flip all of your cards over, face down, and then you start from right to left and you flip over the card on the right, and that card will score only based on the cards that are visible. Then you flip over the next card and you flip it over. Now that scores based on the 2 cards that are visible, and you go all the way back until you flip over the first card that you played at the beginning of the game before you had any idea what else was coming up, and you flip that over and you score based on everything. Yeah. But if you play cards that have higher values, like ascending order, you can also take these new sanctuary cards from this other deck that give you other ways. So you're tempted to do these things, but the way the cards are scaled in the deck, a lot of the time you want to play the higher value cards early because they're worth more, and that game is so thinky for how quick it plays, and it takes a play or two to wrap your head around it, and then you just want to... I've played this so many times on Board Game Arena. I'm dying to get my hands on a physical copy. Yeah. I love this game, and I don't know why it's taken this many years for... I haven't seen... Maybe it has been done. If you know a game that does this, please mention in the comments below, but this is the first time I've seen this, and I think it's genius. Love it. That's a great pick. I'm a big fan of the pick, and I also love Far Away as well. I don't know, I want to play the physical version. This might be one of those cases where a symptom, however you want to view it, negative or positive, of it being available on BGA is that I might always prefer to play it digitally, but I don't know. Either way, I would never say no to playing it on physically on the table because it's so much fun. And that mechanic is thinky, and there's so many questions you're asking yourself in terms of when you play a card or one of your tiles that you have access to, again, to either get the bonus sanctuary tiles or for the icons that you need to be able to fulfill the requirements and all. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. Love that.
It always feels like you're making the wrong choice.
Yes.
You want to get
even when you're making the right choice.
Yeah. And art is awesome. Yeah. Individual art on every card. Anyways.
Mine is definitely based on the physicality of it than it is the fact that it's a novel game mechanic. I'm sure it might exist somewhere else, but I will say, for instance, if there was a digital version of this game, it wouldn't be my pick. It's because of the way it looks and feels to interact with, and it is the ring tracker on Lord of the Rings Duel.
Oh, okay. I was expecting something different.
I just think that it's very rare. Not rare. I appreciate a lot when board games have great components, but I also appreciate when they find interesting ways to do things with those components that you're like, this is so simple, but so great and so genius. And there's something so great about the fact that you have this clear see-through with stuff written on it, component piece that you put on the board, and you have another one of those clear things that layers on top, and they move either together or independently, but you never have the Knight Rider and Frodo and Sam get further apart. They're always the same, at least that distance or closer, and they get closer to the game, but it's so satisfying to see it and to interact with that it's when I thought of game mechanics, it just quickly was, I know that's technically a component, but it's also a mechanic that's happening in the game that technically the mechanic's simple, but the way that mechanic is carried out with the component is something that is so enjoyable to watch and to look at on the table that it just stuck in my mind. And I have to award people that find interesting ways to create board game components in a space that's so there's just so many board games out there, so many components. It takes something to catch my eye in that way. So.
Yeah. The visual representation of it is awesome because even at the start, when you're as far as you're going to get, you're like, man, that Knight Rider's kind of already on my ass. And it's when you move Frodo, the Knight Rider's always coming with you. So the tension is built into the components, and it also it didn't drive up the cost of the game. No. Something like the Evertree and Everdell or the Lazy Susan and Planet Unknown, those games drive up the cost.
It feels necessary the way they did it too, right?
Yeah. And I feel like most other publishers would have had something that's fiddly with moving these tokens, and it's just such a they crushed it on that.
Yeah, love it.
Excellent pick.
Thank you. All right, the game we wish we had played or played more. So this is that it could be that you didn't play this game, but you were hoping to have played it, or that you played it, but not nearly enough for what you took away from it. So the game I want to make sure I said that right. The game we wish we had played or played more.
So if I was picking the unplayed, it would have been Busk, but I only picked that up a month ago, but it's my most desired unplayed game, but I'm going to stop right there and say the game I wish I played more would be Hansa Teutonica. Because last year when we did our top 50 games of all time, I had this at number 4, I think, or 5. It is quickly after maybe 4 or 5 plays become one of my all-time favorites. But I don't think I played it in the calendar year 2024.
Really?
Yeah,
not once?
I don't think so. And the problem, the issue is that even though it's still quite good with 3, I definitely think it's best with 4 or 5. Yeah. And I've had too many other games. A lot of the times you have 4 or 5 players. We played El Grande once for the first time instead because we really wanted to try that. Or there's other Knizia games that we play that go up to that player count. So I won't get too much more into it. I've spoken enough about this on the channel before, but it just feels criminal that for a game I feel so strongly about, and I think part of it is that no one else is really no one that I've gamed with at least has like said we should play Hansa Teutonica. Like I feel like I have to be the one to initiate it.
Right.
Other than maybe Jeff, but I don't think I've played a game with him this past year.
Oh, okay.
He had the copy as well, so
I will
hope to play it a lot more. I expected to have like 10 or 15 plays of this under my belt by now. So.
Yeah, I like Hansa Teutonica. I don't know how much I like it. I don't think I'll ever like it as much as you do, but it'll take me to playing it like another like 2 or 3 times at least, somewhat close together for me to know where I stand on it. So I'm definitely open to playing it more.
Cool.
Yeah. Mine is Altered.
Oh,
so
nice.
Altered is a game that I've only played digitally, but we backed it, and so I have like a box of booster packs that we haven't opened. We have 2 the original theme decks. I have a play mat for it and stuff. I am always interested in card games that do something new. It's the reason we got into Keyforge and stuff like that. Altered does enough new that I'm really interested in it, and I had enough fun with it that I every time I've played it, there hasn't been any deck building involved. So the fact that I haven't explored such a big part of Altered is the reason I put this on the list. Is like, I think if I end up really, really liking Altered, say I liked Altered to the extent that you liked Keyforge, that's going to come a lot from the deck building aspect for me. And I haven't done any of that yet. So it feels criminal that a game that I've advocated for and getting and enjoyed playing, that I've still have yet to play it physically, and it's also sitting behind me right now. So that's the first one that came to mind for me. My goal is to start playing this more, at least I'd like to introduce it to a few people, but at least with you and Braden, so that we can all collectively start getting some thoughts on the game and also dig into the deck building aspect and just see how much room there is in Altered for deck building to really influence how your play is going.
The fact that we could upload our decks and play on Board Game Arena too is that's going to be so convenient. And I wish more games did that. Keyforge missed the boat on having their digital, unofficial, whatever. I won't get into it here.
You got thoughts?
It's triggering talking about why they didn't follow through on their digital version.
All right, this is our flex category. So we're each going to have a different category for this one before we get to our final category. I have my own, you have your own, and I'm going to kick it to you first. So what's your flex category?
My category is the game with the most standout theme, or the theme I appreciated most. Mm-hmm. And this is a game that came out in 2019 that I had been trying to get my hands on for a while, that I recently acquired. We played it for the first time this summer. We've only played it once, and that is Fast Sloths by Freedom and Friesa.
Yep.
A lot of games come out with animal themes these days, and this one, again, came out before a lot of these other ones, and I just love this. You are a sloth, and the map in front of you, the board in front of you is the jungle, and there are a bunch of trees scattered around, and you're trying to get, I don't know if it's a nut or a seed or a flower from each tree, and the first person to collect one from every tree on the board, except one, I think, he gets to collect 6 or 7, wins the game. But it's one of those, what do they call it? I don't know what to...
Pick up and deliver?
Yeah, pick up and deliver game, but you're not picking up and delivering. You are being picked up and delivered as a sloth. So every game, there's I think 12 different animal cards in the box, and every game you pick 5 or 6 of them at random. You can mix and match however you pick, and those are the animal abilities that are going to be available to everyone. And you've got and everyone at the start of the game, we're going to take turns also choosing where these animals go out on the board. So there's this kind of variable setup and some strategizing, and I love games that have that. And then you're basically the orangutans can throw the sloth from one orangutan to the next, right?
Yeah.
And then there's giraffes there's only 1 or 2 giraffes on the board, but because they're long neck, they can reach over, and I think they can pick you up from further away, more spaces away. I think there's ants where you can have a chain. We didn't play with the ants, but you can have a chain of ants where you can just, as long as you have a long chain, you can just move the sloth along the whole chain of ants as far as you want. It's brilliant. The theme, every time I pulled someone about the game, they go, oh, that's cool. And I feel like this is one that's going to resonate with casual and experienced gamers, and the theme the game just makes sense thematically, and it's very unique, and I appreciate that so much. And it's one of the things I love most about Freedom and Friesa as a designer, is that he always tries to do something outside the box and think differently.
Yeah, I really enjoyed our play of this, and it's one of the games that you have in your home on your shelf that I most want to play again.
Awesome.
Because it was so much fun, but it was also just you after one play you see how much more there is to discover, but without added complexity. It was fun. It was a great novel game. Yeah.
Awesome. Glad to hear you want to play it too.
My flex category is the game that I got back together with, in quotations, and that is a game that essentially I used to be playing a lot of, or used to love, or whatever the case may be, and then didn't for a long time, and now I'm playing again. And that is Magic the Gathering for me. Different than we used to play. We used to build decks. We used to play against each other, building 60 card decks.
Go buy booster packs.
Exactly. I'm not doing that, so I don't have time for that, money for that. That's not how I'm engaging with it. What I have done is discover the joy of the limited format in Magic the Gathering, which is essentially drafting. So I walk over to my local game store that's really close to me, which is Amusing Games here. I also, and I mean, there's tons of places in the city that do it. It's just that that's the closest to me. And also on Magic the Gathering Arena, the app, you can play drafts as frequently as you want. It's always available to play. The two sets specifically that I've played are Bloomburrow and Duskmourn, and I've played both, like I've drafted each of those at least 12 to 15 times each. So I uncovered that the joy of Magic the Gathering Limited is sort of learning the ecosystem that's created by that set and learning like which cards are strong, which color combinations are strong. If you get a certain color combination, what you're looking for. Even more than that, I've come to appreciate drafting as a mechanic way more than I ever did, where now I can kind of understand not only drafting what is good for me, but thinking more intently about what I'm passing to other people. But even more than that, what isn't or is coming to me. If I'm not seeing white cards, then I know that the person beside me is likely drafting white, or the person right next to them is drafting white. If that's the case, I'm suddenly incentivized not to draft into white as much. But then when we draft the other direction, if I'm getting past a bunch of white cards, I'm also thinking, am I gonna let these white cards go to them? Do I get that as like a sort of a secondary color to what I'm going for, or a third color? Like, there's so many things to think about. I will say that Bloomburrow was a great introductory set for me to get back into because it feels like a starter Magic set. Duskmourn was some of the funnest I can remember playing Magic since we were really into it. Like, it was so much fun. There was so much to explore there. I wasn't even that into the theme at all. It was just that it was so interesting, the cards they came up with and the different color combinations and what they were strong at. This is gonna be something that I'm never like, necessarily actively playing all the time. I haven't played the newest set. I haven't played Magic now in I'd say 3 months. But when a set really strikes me as something interesting, or there's certain cards that I think are interesting, me walking over on a Friday night or Saturday night to do a draft for 3 hours, me on the app doing drafts, is just such an easy thing for me to sort of get that fix and scratch that itch. Then I would say that in some way or another, Magic's back in my life now because of that, which is great.
Nice. And I knew this was going to be your pick, and I love this.
Yeah.
I have a couple questions for you. First, just one thing real quick. When you open a booster pack in Magic, there's one rare card, or I don't know if this changed, right? One rare, a few uncommons and whatever. How liberating is it to do a draft where you're not thinking when you open the second or third pack, I got to automatically keep the rare because it's going to be the most valuable for my collection. Yeah. And instead saying, I don't care about which cards I'm getting out of this to keep for later. I'm trying to build the best deck for this tournament or this
session. It's the best. I would go on further and say the amount of times that I've opened my very first pack and taken a common or an uncommon is it's not that rare, because sometimes there are such strong commons in a set or such strong uncommons in the limited format specifically that it's if we were collecting cards, I would already have so many copies of that it might sway me when I see a foil rare that I really want. But if all of a sudden I see an uncommon that I'm that pushes me into black as an archetype, and if I take that now, I'm also preventing other people from seeing it and being drawn into black as an archetype, then me taking that could influence how other people pick their colors, and suddenly black is now an open color for me, or blue, or whatever color it is, right? So that has been a really freeing thing, playing draft from the mentality of not needing to build a collection. Love it.
Cool. Yeah. And can you quickly in 10 or 20 seconds give people a very quick recap explanation of what a cube is?
Yeah. Magic? So a cube is basically creating a draft environment that you're going to be able to draft repeatedly with a group of people. So the simplest way to do that is you can make a set cube, which is what I've done, and I haven't played it yet physically, but you take a set like Bloomburrow and you collect a certain amount, you collect 1 of every rare, 2 of every uncommon, 4 of every common, and now you essentially have the ecosystem to make a draft repeatably. No one's going to keep the cards. You're just inviting people over your draft and you're putting it all back together. But it allows you to essentially draft as if you had brand new booster packs of that set. And you can do that for any set. But beyond that, the craziest thing, and I haven't got into it, is that you can also just create a cube based on anything you want. You can go into Magic history and be I'm going to put these rares in, I'm going to put these, but you have to think about the archetypes you're creating. What is the blue-black theme going to be in this? What is the red-white theme going to be in this? If someone wants to try to draft white solo? What does that look like? And are you creating something that allows them to do that? Are you creating a cube that pushes people to do 3 colors because that's the strongest archetype? Like, you can have fun, seriously, like just sitting down and building a cube for months, collecting some cards, testing things out. And that's sort of like what I'm realizing is something that I really enjoy, especially if I can create something that is fun enough that then I get like 8 friends together. We have like a Sunday afternoon, we draft that set, and then after I get some feedback on like, this was fun, this archetype wasn't as fun, I can make changes to it. Just a really cool way to play. Yeah.
Cool. I think we've spoken about Magic for long enough, but maybe next time we talk about Magic, you can explain the trapezoid now that you've explained.
Yeah, sure.
But just one quick thing before we move on to the final category.
Yeah.
The reason I chose to go with a different category is because the only game that I thought of that came close to this for me was Keyforge, but it was nowhere near the level of you. I just wanted to say that I got sort of back into Keyforge after I think 2 years of not playing it. Finally opened the decks that we got a year and a half ago. I played it in person a couple times and also on the Crucible, the unofficial thing. And I'm probably back into Keyforge, and it's sort of resurrected my love, but not quite in the same way. And I also wasn't away from it for anywhere near as long as you're away from Magic. But
yeah, that makes sense. Final category is going to be the game we played this year. It doesn't have to be from 2024, but the game we played this year with the best chance to make our top 50. I'm going to let you kick this off.
This is an easy one because it is unquestionably going into my top 50. This is a game that we played in the first week of January and is one of my most played games physically this year. Released in 1998, and people have been letting us down for 25 years, 26 years, Dylan, because why did it take us this long to play Through the Desert?
Yeah,
Rare Acacia, 2 to 5 player tile laying game where you're kind of laying camels on this map, there's different scoring conditions, trying to extend them to get these different oases, or trying to have the longest chain of camels of a certain color. You're trying to block people off from getting to where they want to go. You're trying to extend. Every turn you wish you had 8 actions, but you only get to place 2 camels. I've played it at every count from 2 to 5, and it is like incredible at every count. There isn't a count where I go like, I don't know if I'd want to play it at this one. Like, I thought maybe better at higher player counts. At 2, it feels like it's like a bit of a chess match, but it's brilliant. Maybe best at 3 or 4. I don't know. It's an amazing game. It's so simple. And one of those games where I just played it and went like, this is for sure one of the greatest games I've ever played. I don't know if it's quite top 10 yet. No question it's top 20, like not even up for debate. But yeah, this is such a good game and one that I'm looking forward to playing with like close friends, casual gamers, like my kids when they grow up. Like Through the Desert is one of the greatest designs ever in my opinion.
Yeah, I love it. This was like the other one I was considering besides the one I picked. There's reasons why I picked the one I did, but Through the Desert, so fun. And it's one that I, now that you have the original version, I'm kind of incentivized because I want to have my own copy. I kind of want to get the updated one just so between us we have both, and we can kind of, it's easier to compare, and we also can choose which one we want to play. Absolutely. But I love Through the Desert. So I think we left that session being like, it's a shame we didn't discover this game earlier, but I'm glad we finally did.
Yeah. We were like 10 years old when this game came out, and for some reason nobody told us.
Mine is going to be Lord of the Rings: Duel for Middle-earth. And the reason I'm picking that is because my impression, even though I've only played this game once, my impression after the first play is it takes a game that's already in my top 10, let alone my top 50, and improves on it to the point where it's hard to think that this game, if I play it like at least like 2 to 3 more times before we do our top 50, it would be hard for me to think it doesn't just like replace Seven Wonders Duel unless something changes drastically in my opinion, because it really just takes the things I like about Seven Wonders Duel, love about Seven Wonders Duel, and maintains them or improves them, and takes the things that I was more mediocre about but was okay with and improves them all. Things like the military victory was just being like a push and pull that is like, yeah, I get 3 of those icons, so I push it 3. Okay, that means I'm gonna get 1 so I can push it 2. After a few plays, that becomes way less interesting. It's completely replaced with like a little mini like area control thing, which is super fun. The ring tracker that I already talked about is just super fun to interact with, and it completely replaces the point system. Like there's no points in this game. That was one of the victory conditions in Seven Wonders Duel, is the game could end who has the most points, and that would often happen. In this game, there's now no points, and you're just trying to push Frodo and Sam or the Knight Rider on this track, and that is a super interesting addition. The wonders were completely replaced as like a setup feature and integrated into the game as another thing you can do on your turn instead of interacting with the pyramid. So they just improved everything about a game that's already in my top 10, that I think was in my top 5 at 1.2.
Number 7?
But it used to be in my top 5, I think. I think it was 5 at one point. Anyways, it's just like, it's hard to imagine if nothing changes about the way I'm feeling about it, it's hard to imagine it's not just going to like be in my top 10. Yeah. So it's probably the surest bet. There's other ones like Through the Desert, and even Patterns is one that I was like, that probably like a shoe-in to be somewhere in my top 50. Mm-hmm. But I just feel like if I was having to like bet a large sum of money, that's sort of like the safest bet for me. Yeah.
Not surprised, honestly. It's a good pick. It's a good pick. It's a really, really, really good game.
Yeah, it's great. And that's it. Those are our 12 categories with that one flex category. Again, like I said at the beginning, let us know in the comments if you like this category-focused approach to doing things like a sort of replacing a traditional top 10 list, because I'd say I'm really interested in doing that more often and doing like this kind of discussion based around categories that we come up with, or if it becomes popular, that we can even like poll our community and say like, what are some categories? We're thinking of doing like a polyomino-based video that normally would have been a list, but what are some categories you'd be interested in terms of like best polyomino games with 2 players, best polyomino game for a family, like favorite polyomino game to look at. Like, I like that idea. I find it more creative. It means we could potentially like differentiate things instead of always doing like 10-to-1 rankings and stuff.
Yeah, I think it gives us more variety between our picks.
Oh,
right? As if we were just saying what are the top 10 games we played in the last 10 or 12 months, we would have probably had a lot more overlap.
More crossover for sure. Yeah. So yeah,
let us know, anyone who wants to make, whether it's a couple of the categories or all 12 categories, let us know your picks for these. Let us know in the comments, or better yet, come to our Discord, because a lot of people will probably be sharing their thoughts there. And we have a great community, and we'd love to hear what you think of it.
Yeah, that's a great call out. Anytime we do these, and especially in this one, feel free to like paste the categories in there, type them in, or even just a couple of them, and let us know your picks. That'd be super interesting to see, and then it could get some good discussion going in the comment section.
Absolutely.
Too. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.